Okay, so welcome to our review of the new X3 from Insta360. This thing is sick! Woo! So, 360 cameras have been around for some time now. I remember back in 2016, which seems like a lifetime ago, testing out this, the Insta360 Nano, a little 360-degree camera that clipped to your iPhone and allowed you to directly record and capture pictures and have them directly on your phone for sharing on social media. Now, back in 2016, at that time, I was personally creating a vlog every single day about what I was getting up to with my life. So the ability to record in 360 should have been the next best thing for people like myself, but the reality is it wasn't. 16:9 was the way forward, and I think it's because back then people weren't ready for this yet. Fast forward 6 years, Insta have released this. It's called the X3 and it's brand new. It's a 360 camera, and today we're going to delve into this thing, see what we can record, how we can manipulate it, and then share it on our social media platforms. Welcome to our first impression. So first off, let's dive in straight to the physical hardware. It's a very small device and it's easy to hold in one hand in like a portrait fashion. It's got two massive lenses flanking either side of the body that really do need to be carefully looked after. As well as this, a built-in 2.29-inch touchscreen with tempered glass for navigating through the different modes and looking back at your content on the fly. On the inside, the X3's got dual half-inch sensors that can capture full 360-degree video in up to a 5.7K resolution. There's numerous flaps all over the body which allow the X3 to be waterproof up to 33 feet for underwater capture, and the battery itself is part of the exterior shell, making it super easy to pop out and replace, especially if you're on long shoot days and need that extra power. Speaking of power, under this waterproof flap, it does have a USB-C port, which is really nice to see, used for charging and data transfer, and it also does have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for directly syncing with your mobile device and the app, which we will talk more about later. Okay, so we've just jumped in the Defender. This is our first proper outing with the X3, and we've managed to get it suction cupped to the top of the car. Now, the one thing I really like about this is obviously it has the wireless transmission with the app, so obviously we can go in here and see what we can actually see to make sure that we're framed right, and then obviously we'll be able to see this live as we're moving, and we can start and stop the recording. So the first thing we did was a couple of suction cups on top of my Defender with a selfie pole stick thing with the 360 camera on top, and then we went for a little drive. Now, looking at the physical camera, it was shaking and wobbling about no end, but this thing has what's called flow state stabilization, which is the first main thing that's blown me away. Basically, when you look back at the footage, and I think it does this because it is so wide, the field of view is so wide, with the flow state it has a lot of room to work with to make the actual footage that you export really, really steady. I got out my little motorbike, and what we did was we put the selfie stick in a backpack, and then basically I just rode the motorbike down this track. Again, the selfie stick was wobbling about as I was going along this dirt track. However, you can see that this footage is insane. Now, I haven't even addressed the elephant in the room yet, in that this is a post-production camera. What do I mean by that? Well, basically when you're out there in the field, you set it and forget it, and then when you get back to your laptop or your desktop to do your post-editing, you can then choose, okay, I want to look at Alex riding the bike, or I want to switch the camera and look behind and see the Defender that's following me. Everything is done in post, and it makes actually going out and shooting way more fun because you're not having to worry about camera angles. You just get your selfie stick out, click record, and go. Now, in this day and age, 4K at 120 FPS really isn't anything to bat your eyelids at. However, combine 4K 120 with the X3 and a little bit of rope. Put this thing above your head and swing it round. The results are just nuts. You do look a bit silly doing it, but that is what Insta360 call bullet time, and I think it's really, really cool. But it can also do stills and photos in HDR as well. 72 megapixels of 360 stills. Speaking of HDR, you can turn HDR on and off in video. So here's a few examples of that. And basically the HDR is going to make sure that the brightest elements of the image are correctly exposed, as well as all of the darkest areas of the image. So if you're shooting in an environment that has lots of shadows, for example, this will really help you. It's nice that it's available. So obviously you can use the mobile phone app via the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi that's built into this bad boy. However, I do want to show you guys how to navigate the inbuilt touchscreen that's actually on the camera itself. Okay, so this is basically the UI. In the simplest terms, top left, you've got how long you've got left on your memory card. You've got your battery percentage up there, and then these are your current shooting modes that you've got. So you can actually change the current frame rate and different things like that, and the resolution that you're shooting in. And then if you tap on this little icon here, these are all the different modes that you've got. So you've got HDR, video, photo mode, HDR photo, interval shooting, burst mode, star lapse, loop recording, bullet time, which is basically their version of slow motion. Then you've got time shift, you've got time lapse, and then we're back at HDR again. Now, one thing they're really wanting to push with this model is the single lens mode, which is good for sort of vloggers. So you can just go about and use this basically as a single lens camera to shoot video, photos, or you can go in me mode, which is kind of cool, and we'll delve more into that a little bit later. But it's as simple as choosing the mode that you want. So you go into 360 video, and then you choose your frame rate and your resolution. You click there to record. So start recording, and basically off you go. Now we're in full 360 video, and later in post I can say, okay, let's show the people over there, and then they can see over there, and then back to Jed and I. It really is that simple. So this program that I'm in now is called the Insta360 Studio. Now bear in mind, this is currently in beta. So this is the photo we took inside of the abandoned building earlier, and this is in a mode I think called Little Planet, which you can see down here. If you click down this and open this up, we've got numerous different modes we can choose from. So here's our normal mode. As you can see, there's me, there's Jed, and then you can go through and change all of these modes into just different modes really. These are all basically normal modes that just change things slightly, and then you can go ahead and export this when you're happy with it, when you've made your manipulations, if you like. So what we're going to do here is basically point the camera at the car, click the keyframe here, and then we're going to click this one, which is the natural view, which is what we want, the normal view. And then we can move this on a little bit on the timeline. As you can see, we're moving slowly away from the car. I'm going to then recenter the car and add another keyframe, again in the natural view. And then we can scrub on a little bit more on the timeline, and now what I'm going to do is add another keyframe and move this around so it's looking at me. You can see here that it follows the car, keeps its center of frame, and then as soon as it hits our key point, it swaps round and looks at me. And there we go. It really is as simple as that. Now, taking a break from all of the post-processing 360-degree video, it has some normal shooting modes. So this is called me mode. Now, it's still using both the lenses. So as you can see here, we're transitioning from lens 1 to lens 2. That is just nuts. However, what this mode allows you to do is basically be able to point this thing and get a 16:9 video looking at you like this, or you could even put it in vertical mode, which would be great for things like Instagram stories, YouTube shorts, things of that nature. So basically, if you haven't got the entire nutshell of this video, the possibilities with this X3 are completely endless. It's been absolutely insane to see what we were able to capture out with basically just 4 or 5 hours on a Monday morning with this camera, with my car and a bike in a field. The shots were insane, and like I said, I didn't even point this thing. I just put it on a stick and clicked record. Just nuts. If you guys want to see a bit more of an in-depth dive into 360 video, or this thing specifically, let us know, because there's so many more things we can cover. This is just our first impressions. It's not even released yet. By the time you see this, the links will be in the description. But anyway guys, my name's been Alex, this has been TechFlow, this has been the X3, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.